I know a lot of people are complaining about a lot of different things with the MPC this, changing MPC that. And I get it. If you're a sample based artist and your workflow has changed, perhaps it does, really not make it fun for you for some reason. But really, most of the stuff I've seen, and I've used 2.5, and of course, I'm not an all sample based artist, um, but I do sample at times. Honestly, it hadn't really changed enough for me to complain about for the worse. It's changed for the better, in my opinion. Number one, the mixer is so much better. Look at this. Super easy to see. The mixer is not hard to see. Touch effects. There's all your effects on your mixer right there. Look how easy that is to add, stuff to it. The sends are all right here. Your panning and your volume adjustments there, your ins and outs are all right there. And you can say, well, it was there before. It's true, it was. And even here, this is cleaned up so much nicer. Look how easy this is to see stuff on each track. I mean, there's so much to be appreciative for from Makai, what they did. I mean, doing this for free, allowing us to be in the test, the beta. I think it's so much more to appreciate than it is to be hating on it. At the same time, I get the whole thing with the track mutes and all that, but you just got to learn a new method. It's not, I mean, that's part of music. If you stop learning in music, then music will get boring. So I think learning is a great thing, and just continue to learn and be appreciative, because the fact that they let you be able to downgrade it back to the old one, some companies will be like, nope, this is what it is. You take it or leave it, right? But they're not doing that. They're leaving most of the stuff in here, and I do believe they're going to cater to most people, and that is the old heads that like the old way, and then these new young kids or new young generation that like the FL Studio slash Ableton vibes. It seems like they're trying to find some happy medium for everybody to be able to enjoy, because they do need to grow their business. If they don't grow, then there will be no more MPC. It'll be done away with, and you will be living on nostalgia at that point. So I just think focus on what's good and let that be what it is. If you don't like it, you know, first of all, find what you do like. There's something in here you gotta like. You gotta like this mixer. I can't believe people don't like this mixer. This is so much better. It's so easy to follow. It makes sense. You can actually add channels in here if you want inside of the mixer. If you touch there, you can add all your channels the same way you could do it in other spots. Go back to the main menu. Being able to see your stuff in your key groups and everything right here on the spot. Adjust when you need, right? So this is beautiful. Being able to see the arranger, just this alone is like huge. Then if you want to go into the arranger, edit your stuff, you got everything that you need. So I think if we focus on the positive, sure, there's going to be some negative things. There's things that I still feel they need to fix. But I see so much positive that it's hard to spend too much time focusing on all the negative or what is bad. The editing will get better, I'm sure, inside of here. And I think it's just one of those things where you just have to understand it's not going to be a computer. I mean, it is a computer. It's not going to be on a, 100% Ableton FL level. But at the same time, we don't want it to just be Ableton and FL. We want it to be its own thing. But they've given you a lot of features that can really make the workflow smoother. And everything about this MPC, in my opinion, is just workflow related. Once you like the workflow, everything else is just using it to create music. And it's super easy for that. I'm not going to get into sound because sound is subjective to what people think is good or not. So I'm not going there. But I will say the editing will once they improve the editing on this thing, and I think the mouse support is huge. They need mouse support to make the editing better, because it's not that you can't do this with your hand. You literally can, but all the pinch zoom, touching the screen 100 million times can get pretty old quickly. So it would be nice to see the mouse editing. I could see that being super useful. This is not a device I would carry around and try to travel with it. It's too big. Okay, let's be honest. I'm not going to do that. So for me, it is a desktop tool, and I think having a mouse beside it would be really nice, being able to do that. I think the editing from the arranger is going to get better, and in time that would be nice. They could in theory, I think, do this a lot quicker, and this is gonna. But I'm not in a rush, to be honest with you. I don't create a lot of songs in the MPC, and part of that was because we didn't have an arranger. We didn't have the things that I would use to create a song, so I would just export parts out and send them to the DAW and finish in the DAW anyway. But if they're going to leave it like this, and this is going to be the growth from here, and it's going to get better on the editing portion of here, I think this is going to be the final place where I could say I could live and make a whole song in here and then jump to the DAW if it's just like, oh, I need certain things. Like I need a certain plugin or something that is not in here. I don't know where they're going to go on plugins. If I'm being honest, I think the sounds are okay, but there's no real, they need a bass guitar, real bass guitar, upright bass. They need something like Able, oh Lord, I can't even get my words out. Ample guitar. Thank you. Lord have mercy, I'm struggling. They need ample sounds, and they need some bass, and they need some, some sounds in here that sound authentic. I would love to see them go modeling instead of going whatever they're doing. I don't know what they're doing with this stuff, but do modeling inside of here, kind of like piano tech vibes. And then, bring some authentic sounding bass in here, like a Trillion. Even though Trillion is sample bass, if there's ever a time, this would be the time to find somebody who can create a model bass sound that can do upright, P bass, jazz bass. Those type of things would to me enhance the workflow and bring the sound into where I like it personally. Now, mind you, I'm speaking just from my own personal feelings. This is not whether it's right or wrong or the best way or not. It doesn't really matter. I'm just giving you my opinion. And that's all I got, because basically so far I found that everything is pretty good. It's gotten better. I haven't seen anything that I'm like, oh my God, this is the worst thing ever. I was at the point where I was just using it mostly as a MIDI controller. Now I could definitely see myself doing stuff in it. And again, it's grown so much since, for a machine that they haven't changed the internals that I know of in years. So the fact that they can go back to the MPC Live, the first one, and still have this in there is incredible, in my opinion. This disc streaming is pretty good. I haven't seen anything that I could say I don't like about it. I mean, all these are off disc streaming, these sounds. Right? So there you have it. That's my take on the MPC. I'm using the keys in here. Here's a that bass is Trillion, a key group that off of Trillion that I use from a Fender, clean Fender mute guitar bass. So it sounds rich, and that's the reason why, versus using a bass in here. I should do that. I should do a bass comparison. Like here's a Trillion key group versus here is the bass that they offer inside of here. And I'm not talking about the sub bass. The sub bass is great. I mean, Jura and Mini Moog and synth bass and sub bass, are wonderful in MPC. That part I think is good. They don't have to change that. What I'm talking about is upright bass. I'm talking about P bass. I'm talking about a jazz bass. That stuff is lacking. And, it's not just MPC that's lacking with it. It's a lot of stuff. Like I say this before, iOS doesn't have that. Things like that can make it, because I'm more into natural, real life instruments. When I mess around with synth and things of that nature, I go to, Omnisphere and stuff like that. But Omnisphere is never going to be inside of an MPC. It's just not going to happen. It's too rich of sound. Those are all authentic, like samples and things of that nature. And even the synth stuff is so strong that it requires a computer to be able to use that. So I don't need that, but it would be just nice to have some more authentic sounding like guitars and things in here. And for anybody that's thinking, well, why don't you use Fabric? Fabric is not what I'm talking. That is definitely not it. it just doesn't sound good. If you know what a real guitar sounds like, or if you know what even ample sound guitars sound like, they sound way better. And so just something on that level, something modeling, okay? That's what I want to see Akai aim for. Uh, and I think that's more doable because modeling doesn't take up as much space, and it doesn't require. It's not the same thing as when you go out and sample an instrument, and so they could do that, and it's very feasible. Anyway, that's enough of this rant. Didn't want to spend all day doing that. Just wanted to touch base on that, on how I feel so far about the MPC 3.0. I like it so far. I have no complaints with regards to the workflow. It's actually really good. Minus they could use some better. The editing could get better in the arranger, and mouse support. That'll be it. And I've heard mouse support is there if you run it in dev mode. I don't know what dev mode is on here, how people do that. I'm not gonna try it because I just don't know what it is. I'm just stick with the beta they gave me because I just want to learn it more or less. But if they ever add that in, that's gonna be incredible. So that's my last say on it, and I'm out.